guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a stack of books to tell you about, plus I have some extras on top of that. I figured I'd go over some statistics for you to give you some ideas of how my reading has gone this quarter. I think it's gone pretty well. Not my best quarter, but definitely not my worst. Especially since I had surgery in January, and so January was kind of a wash in general. I apologize for the tired look. I came home from Connecticut last week, and then I had my nephew all week because it was his spring break and he needed a place to go that wasn't at home because there was nobody at home for him. So I'm exhausted, but I want this to go up tomorrow, so I need to film. Yay! So don't mind me and the tired. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I just finished my yoga, and so I'm sitting here in my pajama bottoms and my sweatshirt because that's what I always wear when I do yoga. And I want to talk about books. So here I am talking about books. I just apologize for the tired look because that's just my everyday at the moment. I have Goodreads, and I also have a storyboard that gives me some of my statistics. Okay, so for the first 3 months of the year, up until April 1st, I have read 24 books. 13 of these books are new to me and 11 are rereads. As far as rereads go, I read the series That Shall Not Be Named because that's one of my go-tos when I am sick, tired, trying to sleep at night, that kind of stuff. I also finished the ACOTAR series again, which I restarted just like a couple of nights ago, but I'm not feeling it, so I have no idea what to read at night. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. I also finished the Hunger Games series, and I started the Divergent series that were all rereads. And as far as new to me reads, I have a stack started here of the books that I had in-house. Some of them I don't physically own, and some of them I borrowed. So I figured we can just kind of go through some of these. Here's my notebook. This is one of my planners. If you watch the planner portions, this is one of my planners. This is the one I take all my notes in. So this was the one that you guys don't see in my plan with me's. These are the ones that I put all my notes in for said plan with me's. Okay, so let's start in January. Let me turn it to the right section. Normally I'll fill out the whole thing, but lately I haven't. I've just been writing in new reads, rereads. So rereads, I started in January, I started and read the first 4 books in the series That Shall Not Be Named. I also read the first 3 books of the ACOTAR series. Mockingjay and Divergent were all finished in the month of January. Because I was in bed so much, and because between the illness and the surgery and the recovery from the surgery, I didn't do anything. I just basically went through a huge amount of books that I already know and love because those are my comfort reads. The one new book I read was Ace of Spades. This was an amazing book. It's about these 2 kids that go to this extremely prestigious elite high school, and it's like a fast track to good colleges, that type of thing. And they are getting bullied. Everybody in the school is getting text messages about hijinks that they have done. Some they have done, some they haven't done, and were made to look like they did, that kind of stuff. It was a really good book. I really enjoyed the ending of it where the author goes through and talks about why she wrote the book. I find author's notes to be very illuminating, and honestly, some author's notes will either make or break a book for me. As far as enjoyability goes, it was like a 3. I did not enjoy this book very much because this book made me mad the entire way through. And I am 100% one of those people that if the book makes me mad, it will affect my enjoyability of it. It was extremely well written. It was a fabulous story. I just spent the entire book mad. If you don't mind being mad because of how someone is treated, if you don't mind the massive injustice of our world, especially our country when it comes to POVs, then by all means, please read this book. if you're sensitive to that stuff, you still might want to read this book. I'm very glad I read it. It's just not a book that I think I'm going to read again because of the fact that I spent so much of this book angry that people could treat somebody the way they get treated simply because of the color of their skin. I think it's garbage. I think it's bullshit. And I'm fully aware I have the white privilege, but and this doesn't even take place in our country, but it's something that we see here. So, you know, take my advice with a grain of salt. I think it's something that everybody should read. I think it's a really wonderful book. It was not super enjoyable for me. Am I going to keep it? I don't know. This might end up going into my unhaul pile, not because it was a bad book, but only because I will not read this again, and I'd rather have somebody else who will. Okay, so that was January, and then we're going to move on to February in my little notebook. I have read a bunch more books in February because I was feeling well enough and I hadn't started working again yet, so I had lots of time. The first book that I read is The Last Legacy, which is the companion novel to the Fable books. I really enjoyed Fable and the other book in the series, which I cannot remember, Namesake. This is following a different family after the Fable and Namesake duology. I also have Saint, which is a prequel to the same series, but I have not read it yet. I have the physical book is just sitting right over here, and the audiobook is on my phone. I just have not read it yet. I really like these books. They are nothing to write home about as far as like, you know, being absolutely amazing, but they're a lot of fun and they're good reads. They're, you know, a solid 3 stars for me. Unlike the 3 stars for this one that I think I bumped up to a 4-star on Goodreads because it was such a good book, even if I didn't personally enjoy it. So this one's got like a 4-star rating on Goodreads from me. This one has like a 3-star rating on Goodreads from me because it was a good book. I enjoyed it, but there's no comparison. These are not even comparable books. This one is just fluff. This one is serious topics. The next book I read is She Gets the Girl, which is fabulous. I loved it. I think that anybody who likes female romance, it's really slow burn, it's psychotically cute, it's YA. These are the same authors that wrote 5 Feet Apart, which I thought was cute. This book is much better. This is such a cute book. So highly suggest this one if you want a cute, fluffy read. And then I started on the Moon Call series. This is a very large, I think it's like a 16-book series written by Patricia Briggs. I have read one, which is Moon Called. And then I read, not this month, but the next month, I read the next 2. I'm not sure which one's which. I think it's Iron Kissed first and then Bloodbound. But now I'm second guessing that. I don't know. Those are the next 2 books. So these are the first 3 books of the Patricia Briggs Mercy Thomas series. I read the first one in February. It's about a shapeshifter. Her name is Mercy. She's a mechanic. She runs in a world that has everything. So far we have fae, we've got vampires, we've got werewolves, we've got shapeshifters. She calls herself a walker. She is half indigenous, half American, you know, whatever immigration American, what I am, means. And then she got her walker side from her indigenous side because it was common to have them in the tribes that were local to the areas that she lived in. She lives in Eastern Washington. I live in Western Washington. It's a really cute book. It's total fluff, and it definitely is written in the early 2000s, so there is some problematic stuff in there, but it's fun and I really enjoyed it. As you can see, I've read 3 of them so far. I am on the 4th one, and I think I'm a little bit burnt out on the series right now, so I don't think I'm going to be reading anymore after this one for a little while. I have a bunch of the books and I love them and I plan on reading them, but I think I need just a little bit of a break from that world, that series. So I probably, hopefully will finish the third one soon, but I've been reading the third one for a couple weeks, so I don't know if that's gonna get finished right away. I also read the comic book that goes with this. I'll put a picture here. I liked it for the backstory. I didn't care for the art in it. So for me, it was just kind of a meh, but it gave some backstory that I was curious about. I also did start the short story collection. The short story collection is somewhere in my collection. I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but I started reading that because book 2, 3, and 4 were in a book outlet box that never showed up. And because it never showed up, I was reading, I read this one physically, and then I wanted to read these ones physically too. I ended up getting Kindle versions of them and reading them on my Kindle because, yeah, I took them off from the library. So I didn't buy two, my brain is not working, I'm sorry. So I bought these 2 copies from Pango after my book outlet didn't show up. But while I was waiting for them to show up, I did get Kindle versions from my library and read them that way. Oi. All right, and then the next book I read was The Cabin at the End of the Woods. I did watch the movie first and then read the book, which I'm kind of glad I did because the book is not as happy as the movie is. I like the movie more because the movie has a happy ending and the book does not. The book has a very ambiguous ending and you're left going, what happened? If you don't know, it's about this family who's camping in a cabin in the middle of the woods, and these 3 people come knocking at the door saying the end of the world is coming, and if you want to stop it, one of you has to die. It was extremely messed up. The whole book was, the whole movie was. Like I said, I did enjoy the movie more simply because it has a happy ending, it has closure, and apparently I am not a person that cares for non-closure. So it looks like this is the second one as I'm reading down farther into my notes. This one's the second one. I read that one the same month. And then I also read The King of Elfham. How the King of Elfham Learns to Hate Stories. Did I like the Wicked King series? No. Did I listen to the short stories anyways? Yes. Am I going to listen to the next section? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And then the last book I read was the book that shall not be named, number 5. And then we move on to March. So March's books were a little bit less because of the fact that I've been kind of busy, so there's less of them. I read the book that shall not be named, number 6. It was my reread for that month. And then I read Iron Kissed. So you've already heard about these books, but that's when I read this one, was in March. I also read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. I'm very interested in Norse mythology. If you guys have any recommendations for other books that are like this, that have the stories of the Norse gods, let me know. I do have the Poetica Edna or whatever it's called on audiobook through my Audible account. I bought it for like 1 credit for both books. I do want to get the physical copies too so I can follow along, but I would like some other books that are similar to this one. This one's written in today's vernacular versus the Poeta Edna is not, and I find this easier to understand. So if you guys have any suggestions for other Norse mythology books, like the story retellings like this one, please let me know because I absolutely adored this book. This was amazing. I loved it so much. And then the last couple books I read were, again, either audio or on my Kindle. I read the new, I almost said Miss Peregrine. That is so not what I meant to say. The new Every Hard Doorway book, the Lost in the Moment. This one I found very interesting. I liked it a lot. It doesn't seem to have any connection to the other books, except for you very, very briefly get one of the other worlds that is inhabited by these travelers. Jack and Jill are in one of the worlds that they go into. So her book is about a little girl who is being groomed for molestation, and luckily they tell you in the warning in the beginning that nothing actually happens, that she gets away before it happens. But for me, that was really hard to read as a child survivor of that. I found it very difficult. So trigger warning for anybody who wants to go into this book. There is talk of it. Nothing happens though. So she makes sure that Shawnee McGuire made sure that the character was able to get away from the situation before anything happened. But there was definitely talk in there, and it was something that really bothered me as far as content. But I thought it was done really well. I was very interested in it, and the whole book ended up being great. It's about her world. She goes to the world of lost things. And I thought that it was amazing. I loved it. It was probably my best book of the month. It is shaping up to be one of my best books of the year so far. Highly recommend it. Can't wait for next year when the next one comes out. And then me and my sibling decided that it'd be fun to do a buddy read, and so we read the book Golden. The synopsis on like the Kindle teaser, it's a Kindle Unlimited book. I don't have Kindle Unlimited, so I paid the $3 for the book. It is said to be a mix of The Little Mermaid meets Loki, and so we literally thought it was going to be a mermaid book. It is not. It is a werewolf book. It was a lot of fun to read. It was very goofy. It had a lot of like little quirky parts to it. The ending is terrible. It has one of the worst cliffhangers I've ever read, and the next book doesn't come out until July. So if you are interested in reading this book, it is a lot of fun. It's a very fast read. It is completely goofy. I read it with my eyeballs, which says a lot. But you might want to wait until the next book comes out, because if you do like it, the cliffhanger sucks. And then the last book that I read was The Girl from the Sea. This is a comic graphic novel that my sibling had on their shelves, and they kept saying how good it was, and I really, really wanted to read it. So they walked over and handed it to me, and I read it in one evening. It was really cute. I liked it a lot. It's female sapphic. It's about a Selkie who falls in love with a human and vice versa, and it's really, really cute. So I highly encourage you to read that. It's definitely YA. It is made for younger children. I think that any kid from like 8 up would think this was beautifully cute. I highly recommend for children as well as adults. So that's it. That's my whole like reading thing. To give you a little bit of the stats that I have left over, we will go into my story graph, and I only have my new books in here. So this is not all of my books. These are just the new books that I've read, because I don't put my rereads in Storygraph, but I do put them in Goodreads. So I read 13 books for a total of 3,587 pages. My highest group is adventure, and then I have mysterious, oops, it's taking me too far. Then I have mysterious, and then dark are my next two. And then I have a bunch of like other little ones if you want to see that. That's what it looks like. The paces, I've got 54% fast, 8% slow, and 38% is medium. Most of my books have been less than 300 pages. At 62% is less than 300 pages. They're all fiction. And then the genres are mostly fantasy, but they do have quite a, get to focus. They do have quite a little shift here. I don't know how to put these types of things on my actual videos yet. That is an editing thing that I'm trying to figure out, but me and Adobe Premiere don't like each other. I also did most of them in digital, a few of them in print. My most read book is, my most read author is definitely Patricia Briggs. And I also spiked really high in February because I got a lot of good reading done in February. My average rating is a 3.92. I had 1 2-star, a couple of 3 stars, 1 4-star, 4 4.5, and then 2 5s. Because apparently I like getting 4.5s on here because I can. So on Goodreads it's a 4 or a 5, and I'll tend to go for the 4s. Here I can do the halves, and so I go all the way up. They do quarters too. I just haven't delved into quarters yet. I'm just easing my way into halves, and it's kind of nice. So yeah, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed my little, you know, quarterly review. I will do another one of these in July, 4, 5, and 6. So I'll do it at the beginning of July. And I will see you guys for other videos in the meantime. But I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what your favorite book of the quarter was. If any of these are books that you want to read, let me know. If you want more information, let me know. I am still trying to get back into the groove of this, and I'm having fun. It's just, believe it or not, I was super tired when I started this video, and now I'm much more awake because talking to you guys energizes me, and I appreciate that. So I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye.